Chronically Blue. Hello, all of my sleepy bears. I am Chronically Blue, and I'm here to welcome you to the second part of the Chao video. So I'm here to tell you all the different things that I did in order to get my Chao to the maximum level. What you are seeing right now is the sped up version of how I grinded rings. The best thing to do is take Omega and then just keep spamming the attack button. You're not going to be able to do it as fast as I did, but by doing that, you'll be able to very slowly get to 999 rings, and when you do that, you'll be able to go to just Hot Shelter, where there's only 2 enemies. You have more than enough time to aim and attack at them, and you'll be more than able in order to secure 999 rings into the ring bank. And that is what's really going to help you buy as many Chao fruits as you need in order to help you upgrade your Chao in the best possible way. Now, you are more than happy to collect the animals by just staying around when the enemies are defeated with your specific character, drop them off into the Chao Garden, and then come back with your specific character that you want, or just whoever character you're playing as, hand it to your Chao, and you will see it not only increase, but also slightly decrease some of the skills. So you're going to be at a bit of an advantage as well as a disadvantage there. As I said in a previous episode, specifically Chao Garden 1, the different animals have different advantages and different disadvantages. It really depends on what animal you give your Chao, as well as how many of the same animal you give your Chao. If you give your Chao the same animal, I'd say probably 6 or more times, then the Chao will have the attributes of said animal that you gave them. But if you give them just random animals, then it's going to be more so random, for lack of a better term. So you may have a Chao that is fully with attributes such as the eyebrows, ears, arms/hands, as well as the legs of a penguin, or you might have something with the ears of an elephant, the nose of a koala, the eyebrows of a penguin, the arms of a flamingo, and the legs of a sea otter, if you will. So again, this is just the sped up version of what you have to do, and I had to do this quite a few times, which I will happily go into detail on very soon. I'm just showing you what I had to do in order to get to the 999 rings in order to have it added to my total, as you can see there at the very end. For some reason this doesn't work on Casinopolis. Why, I'm not too sure. Okay, we have the koala right here. I got it from Emerald Coast. Now we gotta go grab our whiny Chao. Feed him the koala. No, thank you. Here you have a koala. Glad that all of that was positive. We don't really need the rest of them. Anyway, back to the grind. So yes, what I'm showing you right here is how our Chao will happily grind through all the Chao races. In order to do this, you have to make sure all the stats are at least 300 or more. If you fail a race, don't worry. You are more than happy in order to retry it. There's no penalties for retrying a race. For the beginning races, it is best to make sure that all the stats are at least 300 in order to ensure that everything is fine. What you can do is make sure to not hit any buttons while the Chao race is going on, because if it transfers over to a different Chao that is not yours and you hit the cheer button, then it will give them a speed boost. But if it somehow goes back to your Chao and you hit the cheer button, it will give them a speed boost as well. Why they wanted to move it over to different Chaos, I'm not too sure, but then again, I'm not the developers of the game. How would I know? Aside from that, the best thing to do is to just keep getting the skill/Chao fruit. I basically call it the same thing. It's interchangeable to me in my vocabulary, but there are many different fruits, such as the triangle fruit, the round fruit, the square fruit. There's a bunch of different fruits that you can possibly get, but the skill fruit/Chao fruit is definitely the one that you're going to want to spend all your rings on. Now, if you give your Chao a koala multiple times, then they gain the ability to potentially put something on top of their head. You can buy one of the wool beanies, or a cardboard box, an apple, a tin can, if you will, and you are able to hand it to your Chao, and they have the chance of putting it on top of their head. I have not seen this myself in Sonic Adventure DX. I have seen it quite a few times in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, but I mean this with all sincerity. I will never 100% Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. You've got to be insane if you think I'd do that. Whenever the goal is very clear cut, I'm more than happy to do it. But when it is do the stage within 5 minutes, but also get a really high score, get as many rings as possible, do it as fast as possible, I'm like, you lost me. You know what I mean? Anyway, aside from that, everything is going to be more or less exactly the same. Now, I have some information here in order to help put things into perspective, if you will, because as you can see, a lot of this is sped up, a lot of this hasn't even been recorded, and so I'm here to give you some information while I'm going through this. The lowest stat for my Chao was swimming. Why? I don't really know. Maybe it was the kinds of animals I gave it. Any possible number of reasons as to why swimming was the lowest, but we're just going to use the lowest one to start with. If swimming is 1,000, which is how much you need in order to pass the diamond or jewel races, if you will, and we get roughly 13 points per upgrade, that's the range. And in order to get it from 0 all the way up to 1,000, that is roughly 77 upgrades. 77 times 2 Chao Fruit, which is how many Chao Fruits it takes to upgrade any skill level. It takes 2 Chao Fruits. That is 154 Chao Fruits. 154 Chao Fruits times 200 rings, which is how much rings it costs for the Chao Fruit to buy one. That is 3,000 rings. Due to only saving a max of 999 rings using E102 Omega or whatever character you prefer, that means you are doing the grind trick up to 31 times. I would highly suggest Omega just because, yes, it's boring, but you just have to press the same button multiple times. You don't really have to worry about avoiding enemies or anything like that. And when the only 2 enemies you have a clear advantage of by seeing them from afar and aiming and firing at them, and there's only 2 enemies in that stage alone, you're going to be more or less fine. As you're seeing right here, you're seeing roughly the sped up time of how long it takes for me to force feed my Chao the Chao Fruit, which it's not a great thing now that I say it out loud, but this is exactly what I had to go through. I just had to buy multiple fruits in order to force feed my Chao to get all the stats up for me to be able to get the Chao emblems. How do you get the Chao emblems? That is a great question. You have to complete the jewel races, and once you do that, everything's super easy, super nice to go. But to get there, you have to buy a lot of Chao Fruit. Let me elaborate here. It takes roughly 8 minutes per time using E102 Omega tactic. So roughly 8 times 31, because we had to do the trick 31 times, so 8 times 31 is 248 minutes, or 4 hours and 8 minutes of just grinding. Just 4 hours and 8 minutes of hitting the same button multiple times, and then going all the way over to Hot Shelter in order to have those rings saved to you in your account. It also takes Chao 20 seconds to eat a fruit if you are lucky. That is if they eat it in rapid succession, if they eat it all in one go, which is not going to happen most of the time. They will take 1 or 2 bites, throw it behind them, and then you have to move on to another fruit. The 20 seconds is if they start with the fruit whole and then finish it all the way down. You are very lucky if that happens. It lasts a lot longer than that, but just for the sake of consistency, we're going to go with 20 seconds, because I timed it. So, don't forget that the amount of Chao Fruit we have to get is 154. So, 20 seconds times 154 Chao Fruit is 3,080 seconds, or 51 minutes. You are spending an hour, almost an hour, just watching your Chao eat fruit that you are force feeding them. Now, let's say roughly we're up to 5 hours, because that is the 4 hours and 8 minutes of grinding, plus the 51 minutes of watching the Chao eat. But it also takes 12 seconds to buy 1 fruit. That is because you can only buy 1 fruit and then put it back. You can only hold one fruit at a time, drop it, and then force feed it to your Chao, and or just drop it and then go back and buy another fruit. So 12 times 154 is 1,848 seconds, or roughly 31 minutes you are spending, if we had everything together, 5.5 hours to complete 5 emblems. I could not even imagine anything roughly related to that, where it takes roughly an hour to complete a goal. So the fact that we have to spend 5.5 hours getting the rings, then force feeding the Chao, and buying the fruit to then force feed said Chao, it is very insane to me. Now, if you're looking for a good number of Chao fruit in order to top off that, I originally started at 6, but then I found out later on that you can do anywhere from 10 to 16. I would say maybe like 12. That's probably good. There is a specific number of times that you can enter and exit the Chao garden without the fruit disappearing, but if you go to the Chao shop, it seems to not really affect it that much. So, you can use that to your advantage. Again, I would only suggest maybe 12 Chao fruit. Anything more than that and you are going to most likely push yourself all the way over to having fruit disappear that you just bought with your hard-earned rings by spending, 8 minutes at a time in order to grind it. Now, one thing that I did not include in this calculation is the rarity of Chao/skill fruit, where the black market constantly changes for the Chao fruit, the Chao eggs, the Chao accessories. So what I typically tend to do is I just take Sonic and go through Emerald Coast like 1 to 2 times, and by the time I finish 1 or 2 times, then the Chao fruit is back in stock, and I'm able to buy as much of it as I can possibly afford in order to force feed my Chao. As you're saying right now, this is the heavily sped up footage of it, just in order to make it more concise and make it more consistent, so you're not spending 3 minutes watching a Chao move, because this part of the game really, you can just set the controller down. That's all you can do. You cannot do anything to cheer your Chao on. In Sonic Adventure 2 battle, you can cheer on your Chao, and that will slowly decrease the stamina bar, which, cool, love that, great. But in Sonic Adventure DX, there's not a lot you can do here. And that really causes the distance between the player and the Chao. Yes, it's just a virtual pet, and most people don't really have a deep connection to said pet, but at the same time, you kind of think something would happen there. So they would do something in order to help incorporate it. But, whatever. Anyway, you can see here that we have gone ahead and finished all the emblems. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye, my CP Bears.